This is Flavor Report, where we are obsessed with what every curious foodie's next question is. What's this going to taste like? At FlavRReport.com, we share the flavor of life. That's food, drink, entertainment, travel, all of life's adventures. And today, we're talking about chocolate. Do you love chocolate? Let's be honest. Almost everyone loves chocolate if you can eat it. Would you love it even more if it was healthier, if it was environmentally friendly, if it was ethically made and sourced? If you answered yes, I think you're going to love today's conversation. My name is Joe Winger, and today we're talking with Cam from Honeymoon Chocolates. The Honeymoon Chocolate story is romance, it's delicious, it's healthy, it's focused on a better, happier, healthier future. Without any further delay, let's jump right into this conversation with Cam from Honeymoon Chocolates. Honeymoon Chocolate is an amazing company that I tasted back in September, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so Cam, thank you for joining us today. And other than being crazy busy, how's your week going?
It's going well. We're in this really fun position where we're curating a menu of a cacophony of different desserts sweetened with honey and also featuring our chocolate. So it's been fun testing it out, seeing what St. Louis likes, and also what's easiest and most tasty to make. Some of these dishes are very hard, so we'll be able to always make them. But otherwise, we're actively trying to manufacture as much chocolate as possible. We sell around the world in a variety of different stores, such as Whole Foods, Erewhon, and Fresh Time.
Well, I definitely, beyond what we're already going to talk about, as you're speaking, the two questions that I'll ask them now before I forget is, you said what, Missouri? You said Missouri?
Yes, St. Louis, Missouri.
You just said what they like. So are you out there sampling on the streets, or how do you get a sense of what they like when you say that phrase?
You bet. So we have a rotating menu for the next couple weeks here at our factory. We have a factory and retail space in Clayton, Missouri. So we're doing our best to offer these desserts that not only feature what we manufactured, be it premium, handcrafted, quality chocolate, but that also fit the palate of the Midwestern foodie, which is a fun challenge for sure.
Help me understand the palate or the mindset or the flavor of the Midwest foodie.
Of course.
Who are they, and what do they want to eat?
They'll eat almost anything. St. Louis is a melting pot of cuisine. We're well known for barbecue, but I don't believe that any of us here in St. Louis would like to be categorized as that. We have so many different varieties of food here. Dark chocolate and bean to bar craft chocolate, so chocolate crafted, meticulously from the fermented dried cocoa bean to the bar, isn't something that St. Louis has experienced or knows very well. So we're the first one here, the only one here, and we're doing our best to try and cross the gap of this company called Bissinger's. They're well known throughout the country with their St. Louis brand. They do a lot of sweeter products, milk chocolate, some sweeter dark chocolate. We're trying to cross the different realms of milk chocolate, white chocolate versus our handcrafted premium single origin dark chocolate. It's a different world for a lot of our customers. So there's a lot of education. And also a lot of kind of meeting in the middle. We just launched a blueberry white chocolate. We have a strawberry milk chocolate, along with our line of primarily dark chocolates.
I'm going to craft this question carefully, because I was recently at a restaurant on the East Coast, and the local that restaurant is very healthy, not high-end pricey, but like $1 more, but not crazy expensive, but much more craft and artisanal. And that was their huge challenge for them as a business, was getting the local people who are kind of used to hot dogs and $2 cheeseburgers to be into much healthier, much better things. And so are you finding the same problem? And if so, how are you getting around it?
great food shouldn't be crazy expensive. Food that's good for you. So the main problem that we have right now is, as a small company, our costs are super high. Our bars range from $10 to $13 a bar. It's a 2.2 ounce bar. It's a lot of money for a little product. But what you'll find is it's handcrafted. It's a product that, you know, the cocoa is coming from Belize. All we do whenever it comes to us is we'll roast it and we'll grind it. But you're really tasting all the effort that our cocoa farmers spend in harvesting, drying, and fermenting the cocoa. It's a different product than a $2 chocolate bar or $3 chocolate bar. It can be split up into 4 different ways, melted into really nice drinking chocolate. It's great on a charcuterie board. It's just a wonderful way to kind of end your day. And it's a product that, you know, I hope we're able to tap into the lower end of the market in terms of price point of $6 to $8, just so we can get the kind of continue to cross that boundary of those who can afford really nice chocolate and those who can't, because it should be affordable. And that's what we're trying, hopefully, to do in the future. Right now, we're not necessarily there yet.
Got it. I love the journey you're on, and I'm so glad that you're so aware of your short-term future and where you're going to go beyond that, and just being aware that price is an issue for so many. I personally, I would have no problem paying more for it, but I recognize and understand that some people out there don't have that ability. Honeymoon Chocolates, which is your company, is a love story, a health story, a delicious flavor story, and an environmental story. So if all those angles and more are true, obviously there's something for everyone. So is that correct? Am I missing any angles, or what else can we add to that? Or any pieces of those that are less true, more true?
That's a wonderful question. And apologies, I had to plug in my laptop. We were dying here. But yeah, it's definitely a love story. My girlfriend at the time, now my wife, we met at Illinois Wesleyan University and started this crazy business of sweetening chocolate with honey, or sweetening chocolate with local honey. And it's a bittersweet journey because, you know, we instantly found out all of the trials and tribulations of owning our own business, but also of the cocoa supply chain. And it's a lot like the diamond industry, where there's a lot of slave labor and a lot of issues with those who really do all the hard work and effort. So that's a lot of the reason why we're still doing this. There's a lot of effect that we can have as we scale. It's a love story. It's sweet. It's romantic. That's one of the main reasons why we named it Honeymoon. Chocolate always has its place in romantic gatherings and events, and we do our best to kind of attract those who want to gift our product. A lot of our customers do gift our chocolate, but it's environmental as well. It's all compostable packaging. We have a goal of using only clean energy in the future, but it's also, again, it continues to be bittersweet because chocolate is a very power hungry industry. It takes a lot of effort and energy to manufacture chocolate. It takes a lot of effort and energy just to get the cocoa here. There's a lot of effort in our industry to be transparent on the energy that is being used and the emissions. And our goal is to be a bit more transparent on that as well. But we do our best. I never want a honeymoon chocolate wrapper to be out on the streets blowing in the wind without the ability to biodegrade or compost. So all of our packaging is home compostable, in an effort to just do a little bit more, go a little bit above and beyond.
That's beautiful, Matt. I really like that. On your website, you have a phrase that I love, and I want to learn more about it. Chocolate epiphany. What does chocolate epiphany mean to you? And then as for me or a consumer or someone out there just buying your so if I want to have a chocolate epiphany, maybe I may have had a chocolate epiphany. What does this mean?
So up in Bloomington, Illinois, where Haley and I met, there's a restaurant called Epiphany Farms. It's farm to table, really again, it's expensive, but it's expensive because you're getting the highest quality meal that you could get. And as college students, we really couldn't afford it except for, once a year. And every meal I had there, I had this, it seemed like this epiphany with food where everything tasted better than any meal I'd had in the last 4 weeks. It was just incredible. And we hope that, our chocolate can do that for our customers. It's this experience where, only a single bite can tide you over, or a little bit goes a long way, because not only the flavor is so incredible, but it lasts for 5 or 10 minutes. The flavor in your mouth, it lingers, and that's a lot of where the term epiphany, the chocolate epiphany, comes from. Especially being sweetened with honey. It doesn't have to be sweetened with cane sugar. Honey is as local as it gets, and it's as unrefined as it gets with a sweetener.
Wow.
Completely untouched, raw, unfiltered honey. A lot of our competitors use, coconut sugar or monk fruit or stevia, and those are all processed ingredients one way or another. Even cane sugar is processed. So we're doing our best to create this experience through chocolate and communicate with our customers, and hopefully it becomes an epiphany in the process.
I love that, and I look forward to my next epiphany, maybe this afternoon. I don't know. I think hearing what you just said, to me, it's almost, I feel like I'm gonna be chasing for my next epiphany because I need to get another good meal in me. But
Yeah.
I like that idea. So when it comes to the health and the save the earth or the planet, the environmental aspects, in the wrong hands, I could see it becoming a very preachy message. And so I'm curious how you choose the direction of your branding, your messaging, because it feels so friendly and welcoming and encouraging and not heavy-handed.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious how much thought you put into that and how you go ahead and share it in such a receptive, welcoming way.
So capitalism and really just how business operate here in the US, there's a standard of, cutting costs as much as possible. I got my MBA. I know what needs to be done to have, a profitable business. But the bottom line for us, and hopefully for any other business that, wants to be green, eco-friendly in the future, it's the way it should be done. There shouldn't be plastics. There shouldn't be cheap ingredients. And again, we get to, what can consumers afford when those prices start going up. But the question should start at how should businesses operate, and that's our goal. It's not that we're trying to push eco-friendly businesses on anyone else. It's our vision and our mission is to hopefully have this be a standard for, if we were to ever create another business outside of Honeymoon, but for someone else that might get inspired. It should just be the way it's done, in my opinion.
I love that. Do you think, how can I phrase this? In the business groups you're in locally, regionally, nationally, do you see more and more people heading in that direction? Or has it become overwhelmingly in that direction? Or is it frustrating that they're not there yet? Where do you see either your area or the country at? Or maybe you don't see as many people. I don't know. I'm just curious.
The craft chocolate industry is very geared towards not only helping the farmers that we support, but also being green. So it's in our industry, at least, it's nationwide. It's really exciting. Other industries, not so much.
Okay.
So yeah, trying to kind of take a deep breath and understand that we can't affect anyone else. Nor would we want to. We'd want someone else to make their own decision. But just being a standard of what we would want someone else to do is wonderful. And it shouldn't even be what we want. It should be what is better for the earth and all of us.
I didn't realize you had an MBA. I'm curious, just from an entrepreneurial point of view. This is going to sound half like a really silly question, but I mean it sincerely, because most people I meet don't have the traditional education behind it. They just have, let's say, vision and passion. So if you were going to do it all over again, would you still get your MBA?
this business wouldn't exist without my MBA. And so I would go back and do it again. And I'm sitting on, a large amount of debt from school, but it's still worth it. And the main reason was the networking that I did, and the professors and mentors that I met have all led to this point. Our first round of investment was through WashU Venture Network here in St. Louis. We had a second round that was also as a debt round, and it was through the same network here in St. Louis. So I would do it again. Okay. And a lot of it is because, the core Honeymoon, we're trying to change the chocolate industry by having a honey sweetened product. And I always wanted to take a look at, what is at the core of what capitalism is, and how this business operates. How can we have a change in outlook for the better? And what a better way to do it than to go into the heart of a high ranking business school and see what all these business professionals are learning. And that was the way that I kind of dove into my degree, is a bit of a different view than all of my other classmates. Is how can I do this, but in a different light.
I love that. Gosh. So I feel like so much press covers your origin story about the two college students making chocolate in their dorm kitchen. Is there any part of that story that doesn't get a lot of attention that you'd like to bring up? Any details to it? Only because it is such a beautiful open, but because it's been over and over again shared, is there a part of that doesn't get enough attention?
I would just say, and it's really exciting to share this, and I hope that others who want to start a business, when you start off, it's not going to be great. It's not going to taste good. Your product's not going to be incredible, but you just have to keep making it and create. In business school, we call the MVP, the minimum viable product. How can you create something and keep pushing and be excited about it? And so, yeah, all of our chocolate tasted terrible, and some of our bars still aren't, 10 out of 10. But we're showing up every day, and that's one of the things I remind myself is just show up every day, and good things will happen. So from the beginning, our product has been unique. It's been different, but it hasn't always been great. It probably doesn't have to be great in the beginning.
That's interesting. Very recently, over the fall, I was talking to a world-class distiller. He does gin and vodka and probably 8 bottles together. And that's something he brought up, is if he were to make 100 flavors, which he does, out of those 100, 20 of them are okay. Like, they're not horrible. And then 10 of the 20 are pretty darn good. And like 3 to 5 make it to market. And I don't know, are those numbers as far as, because I don't know how many different chocolate flavors you do, but is it the same kind of funnel for you as far as a whole lot of less than good, and then they get better and better and better, and then you pick the best few flavors? Is that same idea?
Same idea. So we have a couple different boxes of bars and origins, be it Guatemala or random Peruvian origins that we tested all the way up to 100% cocoa, all the way down to 60%. And sweetening with honey gives us this odd, this really fun sweet spot where you can make it to 85% and it'll taste completely different at 70%. And there is a sweet spot. There's a perfect percentage where it tastes, there's a perfect kind of symphony of sweetness and the cocoa. It all kind of plays at once. So, I would say we definitely have a wide range of flavors, and only one typically wins. So for example, our 77% Uganda bar is a Good Food Award finalist, and at 77%, it's exactly where we want it to be. But we had it at 90, we had it all the way down to 60. We tried making a milk chocolate with it. We thought about putting raspberries on the back of it. There's a great way to hone in on it. It's a lot of trials and errors, and also a lot of taste testing.
The taste testing part makes me smile, because I can imagine it's both a lot of fun, but from a work point of view, maybe it gets old fast because it's a lot of chocolate to eat. But invite us over sometime for that part.
Yeah, of course. And everyone always asks, do you get tired of chocolate? And my answer is yes and no. Yes, because I now have, I've always had acid reflux, but chocolate doesn't always help that, especially dark chocolate. So that's whenever I get super tired of it. But no, because it's a wide range of flavor. That it's always new. We once made a bar from Guatemala that tasted like sriracha. And there was nothing else added, just cocoa and honey. So yeah, it can be a lot of fun.
That's beautiful. In a very basic, simplified point of view, what does bean to bar craft chocolate mean? Just so that we understand it better and we can say, is it as simple as a one sentence answer, or is it far more complicated?
It's far more complicated. It's in itself a little bit selfish in my opinion. The only reason I say that is there's a lot of benefit from employing those who work at Origin to also manufacture the chocolate. And that's something that we'd be interested in down the road. We just can't afford it. So right now we take all the effort, all the energy and time to do it here in St. Louis. But yeah, it's a really fun process, but you do end up taking a lot of the credit where the credit isn't necessarily due. A lot of the credit's due for the fine cocoa farmers at Origin.
What is the definition then of bean to bar? Like, what? Help me understand what it actually means.
So in our industry, it's wherever you receive the dry, unfermented cocoa beans, and you roast them up to. Well, you don't even have to roast them. There's some companies that do raw cocoa, but what you're doing is crafting this flavor and this product. You're manufacturing a product that otherwise wouldn't necessarily exist. So in our industry, bean to bar literally down to its sense. Some journalists and editors, just if you have an ability to roast and you start there, you're bean to bar, and it just gives a little bit more local sense to chocolate. Whenever you open up a bar and you don't know where it's manufactured, how it's manufactured, you lose a bit of that local sense. It becomes more of a global or nationwide feel.
Got it. So the beans come from somewhere else. They arrive under your roof, and that everything happens under that roof. So beans come in, bar comes out, but it all happens in the same roof.
Yes. Yeah.
It's amazing.
And it's traceable.
Yes.
That's also very important for our products.
Could you imagine down the road having a reality show that kind of promotes the work you do and all the trial and error and all the flavors? And because it sounds like it's a heck of an adventure, and it sounds like every bar has quite a bit of a story behind it. Would that be yeah?
If not for us, I could see it for any other chocolate maker that exists. San Francisco is a very big hub for chocolate. I could see any of those makers having some really good content. But yeah, it's an exciting and bittersweet industry that we work in. So we try and uplift everyone in the supply chain along the way.
So when I'm at a Whole Foods or any high-end retail grocery, so many craft chocolate bars to an average consumer might look very similar. How do we break down the differences between bar X, bar Y, bar Z? Is it an ingredient list? Is it if I'm looking at 9 bars, how do I know the difference?
I love the idea of when a consumer looks at a list of 9 bars, they instantly go, is it dark milk or white? And if it's dark, what percentage do I like? And then from there, you go into this dialogue with the consumer when they try your product. But it really does start with what the consumer likes. You can't necessarily force an 85% bar down a consumer or onto a consumer that enjoys, a white chocolate. But yeah, you look at the ingredients, lecithins. There are some good makers that use lecithin just because it makes the product easier to work with, but it does make it less of a clean label product. So yeah, you look at the clean label for the nutrition. You are going to look and see if it's single origin. to check to see where the cocoa comes from, just because it does highlight the farmer's work a little bit more. There are some big makers that combine origins because they have, more of a fruity flavor versus more chocolate forward cocoa bean. So they combine them, but I do find that it kind of does take away from the efforts that do happen, earlier on in the supply chain.
I'm assuming the trade show world is something that either you like doing or it's a necessary evil, but what kind of lessons have you learned to optimize your success at these trade shows?
I've only ever been to one non-chocolate, larger organic specialty food expo. So that was Expo East where I met you.
Wow.
And it was quite interesting. Normally, I've been to a lot of chocolate conferences and expos, and everyone, for the most part, is somewhat educated on what craft chocolate is and what they should be looking for. But at that festival, you or at Expo East, you get a wide variety of buyers. You get a lot of people wanting to do business with you, but not necessarily give you revenue. They want your money too. So it was a wide mix of customers, and a lot of the customers, especially on the East Coast, it was exciting to see those who surprised me and said, "Hey, yeah, I know of Rocca Chocolate. They're on the East Coast," and a variety of customers that maybe didn't fully understand why our price point was so high. The main goal of why we went to that show was to try and find more buyers, find individuals who were able to help distribute, help sell our product to those who might be more of a fan.
Got it. And did you find some opportunities while you were there?
Yeah. We met with a distributor who works with Whole Foods in the UK. So nothing has completely come of that contact yet, but some fun conversations, and excited to see if we can get our product, in the UK at some point. But otherwise, just a lot of small boutique shops and a couple larger stores there in Philly.
Both on your website and during this conversation, several times you've mentioned the phrase trial and error. And I really do love the entrepreneurial spirit. And to me, when I hear trial and error, it means people are always experimenting and always trying to optimize. And that's something that I really, really like. Can you walk me through, if there's both available, an early situation of trial and error where you learned quite a bit, and even something more recently, trial and error and what you learned from those two different experiences?
Of course. So to be completely honest, we just opened up this retail shop that I had mentioned in Clayton, Missouri. It's a business district, and we opened up during COVID, assuming that all these businesses would reopen. So one of our biggest trial and error learnings is opening up our first retail experience outside of our manufacturing location, and it hasn't. I mean, these businesses haven't come back. So you take a bet, you roll the dice, you do all the math, and you see if it works out. And we're excited to see what the next step is, and if this dessert bar can be something exciting for this clientele. But something that we did, starting out, we bought our first tempering machine from Italy. It was a small unit. We called it Nona. Really, really cute little tiny machine. Because of the way that it heats the product, it's a centralized heating unit. It's just honey sweetened chocolate cannot be used with that machine. They turned all their chocolate into dough, and we had to sell Nona, sadly. But a great way of learning, a very expensive way of learning. It was a $15,000 piece of machinery. Our most expensive piece of machinery at the time was $500. So very excited. You can even see the post on our Instagram early on. But yeah, we ended up having to sell Nona, sadly.
Because it's chocolate, because we're talking about flavors, I'm sure you paired your chocolates with different foods, different drinks, just different flavors in general. What's your personal favorite chocolate pairing?
My personal favorite chocolate pairing is It's a company out of Vietnam called Maru. They sell chocolate all over the U.S. At fine chocolate retailers and also on Amazon. It's a cocoa bean from the origin Bentray. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly, but it tastes just like pad thai. And it's sour, it's sweet, it's savory. It almost hits all the boxes of what you might expect in a really incredible meal. Pad thai with a coconut milk Bentray Maru chocolate bar. Best pairing ever.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Actually, I'll try it. I'm gonna make an exaggerated statement, and I want you to correct me. And the statement is: mass-produced chocolate is so bad for you, it's almost poisonous because it includes blank, and ours is different. So
Mass-produced chocolate on its own, without any context, isn't poisonous. But whenever you start adding in other ingredients outside of cocoa, it can be sugar in small amounts. But anything outside of the norm, it does tend to become less clean label and more of a poison, as you put it.
I mean, am I exaggerating the word poison, or is it really that bad for us?
My wife, who has a food chemistry background and a medical degree, would say, sugar in mass amounts, specifically at X level, would be considered a poison. But I don't feel qualified to say that, but kind of, yeah.
Staying just for a second on a slightly negative feel, why is refined sugar so bad for us? And as we talk about that, are there any really common foods that most people probably eat that have too much refined sugar in it that we should watch out for?
So the first question, I'll answer it really simply, is our brains love it. Our brains love it, and especially at an early age, it can have a lot of negative impacts on gut health, and the impacts of having poor gut health are wide ranging. Inflammation is one of the root causes of a lot of problems, but again, I feel very underqualified with just an MBA under my belt. But I would say soda, and then a lot of the mass-produced chocolates. Just check the ingredient label. If the first ingredient's sugar, that's definitely not good for you.
And I'm assuming that's a majority of them,
especially at the larger big box stores. Yes, and again, check out the ingredient label. That's a telltale sign.
Fair enough. That might be the one of the big themes of the entire conversation is check out that label. Over your website, several times it talks about the secret of raw honey, and it's sweeter, it's less calories. So can you tell us more about raw honey and help us fall in love with it?
Yeah, raw honey, it's been used for thousands of years as a natural sweetener. It's one of the most, or the least processed sweeteners that you can find, and definitely the most local. So whenever you're looking at global versus local and the impact it has on your health, but also on the environment, local just has a smaller emission footprint. Trace vitamins, minerals, enzymes that other sugars such as cane sugar don't have. It also has a different makeup, so it has a bit of a lower glycemic index. A lot of our diabetic customers and fans say they don't really notice a difference in raw honey versus sugar, but it is a little bit lower on the glycemic index, and there are less calories per serving for honey. And pollinators as a whole, some can make a case that honeybees, especially Apis mellifera, the honeybee that we know and love, isn't really indigenous to the U.S. It's been brought in, but pollinators as a whole, they do so much incredible. They have an incredible footprint. They're even small pollinators, cocoa midges, that make cocoa possible. Blueberries, almonds, a lot of fruit. Most of the nuts that we consume makes up a very large portion of our economy.
So for the average consumer, and this might be too deep into a different direction, it's a little bit out of the direction of chocolate, but What can the average consumer do to help with the decreasing supply of cocoa and the decline of honeybees worldwide? Is there something that the average person can do to help these situations, or is it more on a different level?
So for cocoa, you can purchase companies that are more transparent about who they're buying from and who is receiving the money and at what cost. So we purchase cocoa from origins such as Haiti, Peru, Colombia, Belize, and these specific central fermentaries support small family farmers. 90% of cocoa grown throughout the world is from 2 hectares or less, small family farms. And these small family farms, they take their cocoa to a central fermentary most of the time. And when they do that, they get paid what's called the farm gate price. It's what the farmers receive in return for their cocoa. And that is very important. That number lets you know, how impoverished of a country, or how impoverished your cocoa farmer is due to the buying power that either the central fermentary or these larger companies have, or B, how supportive your maker is of these farmers. So fair trade is great. It's a certification that ensures that farmers are paid a fair wage, but it's not always the truth. So you need to know the farm gate price, and that's really hard to find. You have to reach out to makers if it's not published. And a lot of the time they will share that, especially in the bean to bar world where you have more control over the supply chain. In terms of honeybees, this is more of an issue with controlling and understanding colony collapse disorder and the impacts that honeybees have on our economy. It's massive. The number escapes me how big of an impact that honeybees have. I'm fairly certain it's in the billions, but the best we can do from a consumer standpoint is support those who are having good practices towards honeybees. But really, a lot of the change in that industry has to come from above, from the larger companies who could be having negative effects through. There's a lot of press on neonicotinoids, so a pesticide that's used and it negatively affects honeybees. Also, an issue with varroa mites. They're mites that cause colony collapse disorder, just completely ravage the hive. So there could be a lot more work from the consumer standpoint in trying to innovate, trying to find more solutions. So there are some mycologists who have some fascinating work on trying to make these honeybees just a little bit more strong, and trying to find a way to make these varroa mites a little less impervious.
I hope I'm not pushing you too hard in any directions here.
No. And I hope that some of that's helpful.
A lot of it's helpful. I mean, to me, the beautiful thing so often is people want to be knowledgeable and aware. And I just don't think from a what can I do today point of view, people have any idea what they can be doing. And just like for me, and sometimes I don't realize what a simple life I live sometimes when I don't check the ingredient list enough. And so the fact that you brought it up like 3 times really tells me, wow, I should be checking my ingredient list more. And so many things that you're bringing up, I think as a consumer, just being aware of what I should be aware of is such a great first. As simple as it sounds, is how many of us, I love the quote, live lives of death, of just live a numb life. And so you as a person and your brand is really a great reminder of how much more conscious we can be and making choices that are more conscious toward the life we want to live in, the world we want to live in. And the coolest part for me about that is it's wrapped in delicious chocolate. Mm-hmm. And so it's a great message, but it's also delicious. So we both commented about how we just met a few months ago. And what I'm super impressed by is how quickly I feel like your company is moving. So tell us a little bit about your most recent developments And then how do you and your company move so fast? How do you get things done so quickly?
It's funny that you think that you feel that we're moving faster. My perspective, it feels like we're moving very, very slowly. So I hinted at that the market size, or I guess so our chocolate is fairly expensive. Let me rewind. It's $10 to $13 a bar, and that good food should not be expensive. So one thing that we've been trying to do for the last year, and this is where I feel like we're moving very slowly, is to try and reach that consumer. We've been trying to develop a smaller chocolate bar, something around the $6 price point, that is more accessible. So that's a development that we're working on, and we're trying to toe this fine line between supporting our cocoa farmers, but putting honey at the forefront because that's our differentiator. So we don't know if it's going to be a white chocolate, or if it's going to be a milk chocolate, or if it's going to be this crazy fun color like a matcha bright green or an ube purple, or if it's going to be a dark chocolate. Best sellers are dark raspberry bar. So we're trying to internally guess and check with what's going to work. And what's cool about it is we won't know until we sell it. So that's something that we're working on internally in terms of our chocolate and what people throughout the country can expect as we roll out to our retailers like Whole Foods or Snack Magic. Even they're most interested in our smaller bar. But from a local standpoint, having this dessert bar, furthering our dialogue with St. Louis. So how do all the products that contain chocolate in St. Louis have our chocolate? We're trying to make that possible, starting at our factory, starting in our retail experience. So drinking chocolate mix, chocolate syrups, even a honey syrup, something super simple, locally sourced honey that all the coffee shops can use. We're doing our best to try and create a footprint for just knowing where your products come from, and trying to do it a little bit more environmentally friendly. So we use only reusable glass for all of our drink products, and then compostable packaging for all of our food products. So
That's
yeah, in general, that's an update on what we're doing. But from a team level, we did have a team of 5. We're now a team of 2. So it's a mighty team. Jonathan and myself, Haley's part-time. We're moving forward as quickly as we can with what seems to be a skeleton crew.
So as we're wrapping up, the final 2 questions, chocolate bars, all of your products, where can we find you? Where can we buy all your delicious stuff?
You bet. We'll start on the West Coast. We're in a select amount of stores in LA, Studio City. So Jimbo's, Erewhon, you can find us in stores around that area. Then kind of moving up in the Pacific Northwest, a couple shops called the Meadow, wonderful stores that support craft chocolate makers. You can buy from them online. Moving, closer to the Midwest, Bar and Cocoa, they support all the makers. They're in Colorado, but you can buy online primarily. And then in the Midwest, we're in close to 25 different Whole Foods locations, starting in Kansas City, all the way over to Columbus, Ohio, as far north as St. Paul, Minneapolis, and then down to Louisville. So that's generally where we hope to grow, is more Midwest stores. And then on the East Coast, small honey shops and small mom and pop shops. No large stores right now, but and otherwise you just find us on our website.
Okay, the website has everything, and because I feel you're moving so quickly. As you create other flavors, are they available on the website first, or if I go there today, if I go there next week or April, May, etc., is that the best place to find the newest?
It's the best place to find the newest and the most unique flavors. We can't sell. So for Whole Foods, for example, we have our top 4 units, top 4 SKUs, top 4 products. So right now we have 10 products for sale in our shop. And most of those you can't find at Whole Foods. You can only find them on our website or in our shop.
Okay. And then lastly, I personally have found this, both your energy and the entire conversation, just your message, really inspiring. And so whether it's the article or the podcast or the video, anyone else who's listening, watching, what would you ask our audience to do with Honeymoon Chocolates? How can we help you? How can we support you best? Please.
Yeah. So how can you guys support Honeymoon? I would say give us a follow on Instagram. Take a look at the label next time you're shopping for chocolate or really any food product. It better informs you as to what you're consuming, and it has a much better outcome in terms of what food you're consuming and what nourishes you. And then from just a general perspective, a lot of what this new generation that is graduating high school, going to college. So my little brother is in that generation, and they have a lot of concern with the environment. So it doesn't take a large group; it just takes one person. So that's what I'd recommend.
I love it, man. Well, I know you're busy, so I appreciate your time. And I really mean it when I say not only is the chocolate delicious, but the messaging, the brand, the everything behind you is just, it seems so incredibly, I'm not sure wholesome is the right word because it sounds almost innocent, but well-meaning might be the right word. And so I appreciate you and your business, and thank you for your time. And that wraps up our conversation. Huge thank you to Cam. Huge thank you to Honeymoon Chocolates. I enjoyed tasting them. I enjoyed learning more about their story. Cam's a really, really smart guy. His heart's in the right place, and he's creating a great brand. It's delicious. If you have a chance, please buy it. Please learn more about them. You can find the Honeymoon Chocolates brand online at hmchocolates.com. HM Chocolates plural, so add the S at the end, hmchocolates.com. Once again, big thank you to Cam, big thank you to Honeymoon Chocolates.